So this is like 3 days of training. So I broke it up into like logical pieces. So today we're really going to talk about taking a lead to a contact and then creating an opportunity for that contact, right? And then I'm going to explain how the opportunity dashboard works and how the different stages in each swim lane works and how you can create checklists within each stage of an opportunity. So for example, you've got a listing, right? So you've got a contact out there somewhere that you've met. You finally have a conversation, then they become a lead. Then you convert them to an opportunity because you're going to sign a listing agreement with them. So from there, you're going to get them listed, then you'll go into contract, and then you will close, right? So all of those different stages require different documentation, and they also require different steps, right? So before you list a property, there's certain things you're going to do before you show up for that appointment. Maybe it's create a CMA, whatever you do to run your business. And then once you get a listing agreement signed, you probably have a checklist of things you're going to do before you put it on the market, right? So you're going to order signage, you're going to do a video, you're going to schedule a photographer, you're going to do all of these things, right, before you get it listed. So within Command, you have the ability to set up each stage. Sorry, I'm going to mute you.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on the computer for this other class, the class that I did really well.
Thank you, Mindy.
You're welcome.
So, so basically that's what we're going to cover today is, getting a cold contact out there into a lead, into an opportunity. So that'll be day one. I'll also cover the dashboard. Day two is going to be once you've got that opportunity defined and you're ready to either get a buyer agreement or a listing agreement, I'll show you how to create that documentation using DocuSign. And then day three will be once you get them in a contract, how you receive offers or make offers and get your offer completed and then into compliance, okay? So that's kind of the 3 days in a nutshell. So today, let me just talk about why we're using DocuSign to begin with, why we're moving in this direction. So if you don't know, Dotloop and Zillow are related, right? So Zillow purchased Dotloop. And so now they have access to all of the data that everybody's putting into Dotloop. So Keller Williams International basically severed that contract with Dotloop back in January. So from a Keller Williams global perspective, they entered into a new contract with DocuSign. So DocuSign is the platform of choice that Keller Williams offers their agents to do their documentation. That does not mean moving forward, you cannot use Dotloop. If you really want to continue using Dotloop, that's your option. However, you will have to pay for it. So Keller Williams will pay for DocuSign. It will not pay for your Dotloop account. So again, totally up to you. So I'm going to teach DocuSign because that's the platform that Keller Williams has chosen to move forward on. Make sense?
Any questions before we go forward with any of that?
What about our old stuff that's already in Dotloop?
You'll have access to that. You will have access to anything you've started in Dotloop.
Okay. But they're not gonna, is Zillow gonna have access to it too?
Well, we don't have a contract. Yes, they would for the way the contract is now, because the contract that we previously had with Dotloop, we do not have that contract with Dotloop anymore. So if your market center is paying for you to have Dotloop, it's a totally different contract. Going forward, it would behoove you to go to DocuSign. That's why we're spending this time training. You will, anything new going forward, you should all start in DocuSign.
So Mindy, I think if I'm thinking that she was asking, I could be wrong, the last 5 years that we've been using Dotloop, will Zillow now have access to all of our past clients and all the transactions that we did on that, or is that proprietary to us as individuals?
With our old contract, the old contract between KW and Dotloop, there was privacy in there. So anything back before KW ended that contract is not. Moving forward from the time the market center took over, I believe they do. Or they could. I don't know that they will. They could.
So the
Okay,
old stuff is protected.
From when Keller Williams' contract with Dot Loop ended, previous to that.
okay.
Right now,
So,
the Market
yes.
Center has a contract with Dot Loop, not KW and Dot Loop,
Right, so the answer to that is yes.
Okay.
other than the
Thank you.
last few months that we've had it, yes.
All right, and I have one other question. Sean is coming across like his lips are moving one way and his voice is another. It's not, it doesn't feel live. I'm just saying, I don't know if anybody else noticed that. Is that just on my computer or is it everywhere?
It could be your internet. It could be if you have too much going on your internet. One suggestion is turn off the Wi-Fi on your phone, or if you have Wi-Fi on other devices, possibly turn it off. And that
Okay,
may,
well, I didn't have that with anybody else. That's why I'm asking. Okay,
and he's also screen sharing, so that will make a difference probably.
Yeah, there might be a little bit of a lag.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
okey dokey.
So we're good with that? We're good with the idea of why we're using DocuSign?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about leads and contacts. So you guys have seen this before, right? This is the KW model for moving leads all the way down the pipeline, right? So leads are people that you've had a one-way conversation with, right? Either they've reached out to you, they've got a Facebook ad, or some other way you've got them into your database. You haven't really had a conversation with them yet, so they're really just a lead at that point. Once you have a two-way conversation and you're able to get their information, right? So you've had a conversation, now you've gotten, their phone number, their email address, the idea of what they're looking for, whether they're looking to purchase or to buy, invest, whatever it is, you kind of qualified that lead and now they've become a contact. So that's the big part right there. Once you've got them as a contact, then you really need to work them down the funnel to turn them into business. So whether you put them on a smart plan or whatever model you use to move them from a contact into contract, that's totally up to you. I mean, we're talking about using smart plans as one way. There are a whole bunch of other ways to do it, whether you have face-to-face time, however you run your business, that's how you would move them. So then once you get them down into an opportunity, then you're going to move them from having a conversation to actually getting an appointment, and then getting them to sign either a buyer agreement or a listing agreement with you, and then getting them into contract, and then closing the business, right? So that's the model to move a person from a contact all the way through to close, right? So Command is designed to handle all of this stuff with all of the modules that are in there. So I'm not going to go through all those today because we're just going to concentrate on the bottom half of the funnel. So if you look at Command the way it's set up, logically, this is what we're looking at, right? So when we look at our opportunities later, the dashboard, this is what it's all based on, right? So like I just said, you've got your leads, people you don't really know yet and haven't had a conversation. So in my world, I assign these percentage points as far as how I'm going to get them from here to here and what the percentage of turning them into a lead, from a lead to close business as they move down the funnel, right? So if I've never met someone and they fill out a Facebook ad form for me, I'm giving myself a 5% chance of turning that into an actual piece of closed business, right? And same thing with contacts, right? So maybe they came in cold. Maybe I had a conversation with them. I got some more information. I still think I'm giving myself a 5% chance of turning that into business. Once I get an appointment set, I'm going to give myself 3 out of 4 chances that I'm going to turn that into business, right? So I'm saying 75% of the time, if I set an appointment, it's going to be kept and I'm going to turn it into business. I give the same percentage to myself for once I keep an appointment. So I schedule an appointment. We had a meeting. I'm going to say I got a 3 out of 4 chance that I'm going to turn that into a contract. Okay. Once I get them into contract, whether it's a buyer agreement or a listing agreement, I'm going to say 8 out of 10 times I'm going to close that, right? So it's listed, it's active. 8 out of 10 times it's going to turn into a commission check for me. I'm going to close that business, right? And then once they're in contract, or pending, I'm going to give myself a 90% chance. So 9 out of 10 times, I'm going to close that, right? So once I get them from listed to under contract, 9 out of 10 times, it's going to turn into closed business for me. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So these numbers come, as part of Command. You may want to adjust them to your business. I adjusted a few of the numbers, but there's a default set that comes with you. So I don't know if you remember the old CGI tool from MyKW. It's kind of the same idea, but now it's built into Command. So there's a way you can go in there and set your goals for the year. If you haven't yet, I would suggest you do it in Command, because it's a really good way of keeping track of your business. And again, you can change the percentage numbers. If you're a rock star, maybe this is 80 or 90% down here. I don't know. So
Can I make one comment about the goals? I just went into an account, Lindsay's account the other day, and it was asking me to put in 2021 goals, where we're not even close to 2021 right now. I don't know why it's asking us so far out.
me either, but you can do 2020 still for sure. It's
I think we have them in there already. That's maybe why they're prompting us. I don't know.
It's possible. It's possible.
All right.
Yep. So you can use this model to tailor it to your business, the percentages, and then I'll show you what it looks like in Command. So in Command, when you go to your opportunities, you're going to see, I call them swim lanes. I don't know what Keller Williams calls them, but these are the different pathways for your business. It's my internet that's slow.
Need an
Okay.
upgrade.
I did. I don't know what's going on.
Come on, Sean, pay for the extra, so it doesn't buffer so much.
$3.
Come on.
He did. I think it has to do with screen sharing, and maybe turn your phone off, Sean.
Yeah, maybe.
Here it
All right,
is.
so you guys can see this now?
Yes.
All right, cool. So I call these swim lanes. I don't know what the right term is, but so you got your listing swim lane, your buyers, and then at the bottom you've got, if you're doing rentals, you got your leases swim lane. So if essentially they're pretty much the same, these are called stages, right? So your cultivate stage would be, when you got a lead, right? So you got a lead, you converted them from a lead to a contact, you put them into this cultivate stage, right? So now you're trying to work them towards an appointment, which would be your next stage. So you had a conversation over the phone or a coffee or something. Now you want to set up an appointment to actually get them to either list with you or sign a buyer's agreement. So in this case, we're talking about listings. So let's say I want to get them to meet with me so I can tell them what their house is worth, get them to sign a listing agreement. That's this stage right here. Once I get that agreement signed, the listing agreement, and get all the documentation done, I'm going to move them into the active stage, right? So now I've got the listing agreement, mandatory relationship disclosure, sales disclosure, all that stuff will be happening in this active stage. Then I'm going to be doing open houses. I'm going to be entertaining offers, all that good stuff. That all happens here. Once I move them into contract, that'll be the next phase, right? So now we're into the, hey, we got to get inspections, appraisal, negotiate inspection, repair, all that good stuff. All happens in the under contract stage, as well as moving them from through inspections, through appraisals, and they get approved for their loan, right? That all happens here. And then finally we get the clear to close and we move into closed business, right? So those are the stages that happen with every single transaction. You agree? And
Yes.
it doesn't matter whether it's a listing or a buyer or a lease, it's all pretty much the same stuff. So, and this is your overall dashboard. Let me just move this down a little bit. So the other cool thing about this dashboard is Remember those percentages that I showed you in the funnel? The same
Mhm.
thing is happening here, right? So in my entire funnel right now, I've got the potential to earn $70,000 in GCI, okay? That's potential. So that means anybody that's in this pipeline from cultivate all the way through under contract would add up to this total GCI. Now, my probable income is a lot lower because I gave myself a 5% chance of closing this $350,000 deal right here, right? And probably about the same for this stage right here. So that's why the probable income is a lot lower than the potential income. So the further I move these opportunities down the stages, the higher my probable income will go, right? So my goal is to make this number as high as possible, right? So my potential needs to be really high. And then my probable, I want this to increase and try and catch up to this number as much as possible. Trying to close the gap between these two numbers, because that means my business has moved from cultivate all the way to the left to under contract closer to the right. So the further I get my stuff down the pipeline, the lower the gap in this number is going to be. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So you always want to be building your potential up and trying to get your probable income to catch up to that number. I'm just going to leave opportunities for 1 second and show you your dashboard. So if you want to look at your business as a whole, you would go to your report dashboard. And then this is where that CGI tool comes into play. And it's going to show you where you are goal versus actual. So there's a whole bunch of good data reports in here. By default, it's going to give you how healthy your database is. We'll get into that another time. So if you go to your opportunities report, which is by default, it's going to tell you where you are, year to date. You can do monthly, you can do all sorts of stuff. So mine isn't totally up to date, but if you were using this regularly, you would see all of your information right in here. And then if you want to update your goals, you just go to the goals section. And you can select whether it's going to be 2020 or 2021 right here. So this dashboard is going to tell you where you are, right? So I don't know where this number came from. That seems like an awful number, awful big number of leads that I need to generate this year. But I know the rest of these are pretty accurate, right? So I need to set 52 appointments this year to keep 38 of them, to get 29 into agreement, and make sure 23 stay in contract for a total of 21 closed units for the year, right? So that's based on the CGI that I entered for myself and the profit that I want to keep, okay? So now this is telling me where I am to date. I'm going to ignore the first one, but I'm 40% of my way towards contacts. I really haven't done well with my appointments.
How do we edit this?
If you go to goal settings right here,
Yeah.
it'll open up a widget or a wizard, I should say, and it's going to walk you through setting your goals.
Oh, I have to go through that whole thing. I can't just plug numbers in. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, you got to do it. And then if you want to update, it's the same thing. You got to go and update it the same way. So
Okay, thank you.
if you want to increase your GCI goal, you can do that easily. And then it's gonna watch your profit too, right? So if I said I wanted to earn 75K in profit this year, so this is telling me where I am against my goal, right? So 25%, 27% on the way there. 5 months into the year, that means I got a lot of work to do to catch up, right? And then here's where it's going to tell you how you're spending your time and where you are against your goal, right? So this is all the activities that I'm doing, right? So I got smart plans going, I got neighborhood searches, I got emails. It's telling me what I'm doing to keep my appointments, right? And then that's that funnel I showed you earlier, but now it's got the actual numbers in there, right? So where I need to be. And then here's my GCI breakdown, right? So that's my goal for the year, and there's where I am. So cool, good stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I have a question.
Lisa has a question. Oh, go ahead, Lisa.
What else is new, right? I was wondering, so because we're in the middle, we're already past Q1, and we haven't already been inputting my team's stuff in here. You know, we're going to start with these, with whatever new transactions come up. When we're tracking our goals and everything, and the first quarter is not in here, is there any way to input it manually so that we know where we are for real?
Yeah, you could do that, or you could just adjust the year to 3 quarters if you wanted
Okay.
to. Depends on how you want to do it. I think it might be easier to do like start from now and go forward instead of going backward. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right, let's pop back over to opportunities. So I'll show you a couple more things in opportunities. So I mentioned, you know, the goal is to move them from left to right. And then each stage has got their own individual steps within it. And then within those steps, there are checklists. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that in a second. I got to go back to Verizon. That's the problem.
Does it make a difference which room you Zoom from? For me,
It doesn't really matter now.
All right, so let's
I
look
think
at this. Let's look at this as a blessing in disguise, that everything you're going over, we can absorb a little more quickly or better because we're having little breaks in between, jumping from one thing to the other.
I love
So
that.
I
that's
agree,
how I'm
Joanne.
looking at it.
Reframe. I love that.
Breathe, B-R-E-A-T-H-E.
That's right, Maureen.
I usually talk too fast anyway, so it's good for me too. All right, so so let's look at a list. What's that?
I'm just starting to learn this. Bad girl.
So, like I said, I'm calling these swim lanes. I don't know what the right term is, but
I
within
like
each
that,
one.
swim lanes.
I like that. I like that, swim lanes.
All right, well, we're gonna go with swim lanes because it's cool. So each swim lane has different stages, right? So we'll go into the cultivate stage. So this would be where you've turned them from a lead to a contact, right? So you've had a conversation, you know they're either a buyer or a seller, you got their home address, you probably have an idea of what they're looking to do. So this is where you want to keep them, right? In this particular stage in the swim lane. So for me, your stages may look different. I've already gone and edited this and personalized it for the way I run my business. So if I've got multiple contacts in here, I want to notate where they are, whether I'm nurturing them or they're cold. Like maybe I had a conversation with them and they've never returned a phone call from me. You know, I don't know. Or maybe they're warm, they're in between, right? So we've had a conversation. They were thinking about selling, now they're not so sure, you know, so I kind of put them in the warm category. And then hot obviously would be, you know, someone who is really interested in doing something. But I've not yet set an appointment with them, right? So I'm still in that kind of cultivating role. And again,
Why would you have a cold category? Aren't you going to have like 8 million contacts in there at some point?
I could, you know, I don't know. I may adjust this later on, but for now, this is the way I left it.
So you do nurture, hot, and then if they cooled off, you put them in warm?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Well, you know what a good example of cold would be? It's like somebody that says, I'm going to sell my house when my youngest graduates high school, and that's a year and a half from now. They would be cold.
Keep it
Yep.
in your
I would
contact
think.
to a task, right? To
Yeah.
call them?
Yeah, and just keep them, then move them as maybe as the end of the end of when when the kid's gonna graduate. I don't know. That's like what I'm thinking. Cold is like distant, but it's almost like you know they're gonna do something. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
Exactly. So if you don't like the steps in here, all you gotta do is hit edit stages, right? And you can personalize this the way you run your business. So if you don't like cold, I don't even know what comes default. I don't know what yours looks like, but if you don't like cold, you just come over here and hit delete, right? Or if you want to add one, maybe 4 isn't enough for
Where do you
you.
delete it? Where do you delete it? I'm sorry.
Right here, there's a little trash can icon.
I don't see it.
On
Maybe
the
it's
screen, Maureen.
All the way to the right.
I
Are
don't
you
know
on your?
what arrow is.
You might have to shrink your screen.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Some
Oh, I
laptops
see.
do that.
Okay. Okay. I had the whole, everybody was up there on the right. I have you guys on the bottom now.
There you go.
Thank you.
So,
Sorry.
yeah, so you can, if you don't like the stages, you can, trash them. If you want to edit the name, just hit the pencil here.
Let's see.
And you can rearrange them. Like if you want, cold to be the first one that shows up on the left, you just drag it up there like that, right? So when I go back to my swim lane, that stage, cold should be the first one, right? So it all depends on how you want to do it. And then once you have someone in this swim lane, if you want to move them, let's say this guy, Anthony, I had a conversation with him and, he's like, well, with all the stuff going on, I want to wait till maybe the later this summer. So maybe he's not hot anymore. I'll just drag him over to warm, right? So now I know he's a warm cultivate person, right? So real easy to move stuff around. And then same thing, like if I say now, you know what, he went from warm to I got to set an appointment with him. I'm just going to drag him over to the appointment stage, and then he gets moved over there, right? So now he's out of the cultivate stage, and now he's in the appointment stage, right? So if I go over here, he automatically went to the to be scheduled. And again, I've already customized this, so I only have 2 stages in here. It's either to be scheduled or I earn an appointment. It's one or the other, right? So once I've got them out of cultivate to, hey, they're past warm or hot, I know they're going to do something. Let me put them in the appointment stage. Now my goal is to get them from to be scheduled to actually an appointment in front of them, right? So this is the way I run it. Again, I don't know what yours looks like out of the box, right? So let's say, I've got this guy now to be scheduled. If I scheduled something, I would move him over here, right? And the same idea, once I earn the appointment and he's agreed to list with me, I would then move him into the active area, right?
All right, if you go back, are those 2 categories, like, that's like how the program works? When you go
I don't
back to
know.
appointment, did you create to be scheduled and appointment earned?
I believe
Yeah,
so.
ours are different.
I
Ours
believe-
are scheduling, scheduled, and kept.
Yeah. So
We
yeah,
changed the 3 that we have.
I created my own, exactly.
Okay.
And again, you just hit edit stages right here in each one of these, and you can do whatever you want. And so active, so next step would be, hey, I got an appointment. We agreed he's going to list with me. Let's move him now to the active category, right? So again, this is going to look different than what you have out of the box, but I've got my pre-listing prep stage, then I've got my listed stage, then I've got my offer accepted stage. Legacy, from what I understand, everyone's got that. It's supposedly for if you're going to import your .loop stuff, but I haven't played around with it, so I honestly don't know what it does.
You mean DocuSign?
No, the old
no,
.loop.
.loop. There's a way you can import your loops.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I've not tried it, so I don't know how it works.
Okay,
So
let's
anyway,
stick with this.
yeah.
Quiet, Joanne.
So same idea applies, right? So they've agreed to list with me. Now I'm gonna put them through the pre-listing prep stage, right? And I'm saying, hey, now that I got them this far, I'm saying I got a 40% chance of closing this thing, right? It's gonna happen. Then once I get them listed, now I'm up to my 75%. And then once I get an offer, I'm moving it to 80%, right? So as you move this person through these different stages, you know, your percentage goes up, and that's where on that dashboard, it's going to show you your probable and your potential, you know, that gap closing. Make sense? And then again, same thing, you know, once you get them in a contract, you know, you move them over here. And then again, these are the stages I have. I don't know if they're the same as you have or not, but you know, I have an escrow stage. So once I receive an offer, we put it into escrow. Then we do the inspections, and then we go to the appraisal and financing stages, and then close after that. Everybody good with all of that, the way that works? And again, if you like the stages that come out of the box, feel free to keep them. If you want to change them, simply hit the edit stages, and you can rename them or delete them or add your own, whatever it is, however you typically run your business.
Edit stages are where?
All the way to the upper right.
Okay, thanks.
Got it?
Got it.
Cool. All right, so then within each stage of these, and this is true for every step of the way, there's this ability to add checklists, right? So if you go to this checklist area, so this was something manually I entered. I needed to send them an extension in a COVID override. So I just gave myself a reminder, right? So what this does is, it's really cool. If I want to give myself a reminder to do something, let's see.
Oh, Steven.
Something or other, right? So I need to do something with these guys. I give myself a due date. So let's say you needed to do, I don't know, a water meter reading or something, right? So you give yourself a due date of the 7th for this.
Oh, that's nice.
It's nice, right? So what this
Yeah.
does is on your dashboard, when you first log into Command, there's a tasks widget, and it's going to show you all of the things you need to do, whether it's call someone from your smart plan or something to do with a particular opportunity. It's going to be right there for you to see. Right. And the other thing you can do is, let me just move this one over one. So there's also automated. So I created templates for each step in my stage. So these are already built in here, right? So I need to negotiate the inspection request. I got to schedule the fire marshal. I got to submit all my documentation to compliance. These are the things I need to do for my business in the inspection stage of the process. Your checklist may be different. You may do it in different areas of the process, but for me, this is what I do. Again, same idea. So these are all defined as part of a template that I created. So as you move your opportunities through, they're all going to get the same checklist. And then all you got to do is set the due dates, right? Because each opportunity is going to be in a different stage or a different date, right? So not all your opportunities are going to say, hey, the inspection is due next Thursday, right? You got to manually adjust those dates. And again, those will go on your tasks in your task window on your dashboard. So it's going to tell you, hey, you got to schedule a fire marshal for this opportunity, right? Or you got to submit your docs to compliance for this opportunity, which is really
So when
cool.
you just put your cursor, excuse me, when you put your cursor over there, it just lights up when the date you could put in? Okay.
Yeah, you just,
All
yeah,
right.
exactly. So you set the due.
Yeah, how you would do that.
Yeah. And then again, if you want to add something here manually, you can add it in, right? So what I did was I had in Dotloop, I had checklists for each different stage. And so I just took my checklist and moved it all into Command. So if you've already got something that exists, you can just go and recreate it here. And so I did that for every step in the stage. And again, depending on how you run your business, you may have a different checklist than I do. Chances are you probably do. But we all do the same 60 or 70 things, right, for each deal. Depends on when you do them. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right. And the way to customize those checklists, it's the same way. You do the edit stages, right? So if I look at my escrow checklist, these are the ones that I put in for myself, right? So if you want to edit this checklist template, you can do it right here, right? So I say, when I'm in escrow, I need to contact the closing attorney. I need to give my seller a reminder that they got to get their smoke alarms all set. And then I'm going to have a conversation with them about what they need to do to prepare for an inspection, right? So we received an offer. I put them into escrow. These are at least three things I'm going to do to make sure that they're ready for the next stage, right? So your list, again, may be different than mine. If there's something that you want to add, you just add it in here. If you want to rearrange them for whatever reason, you could do that. So yeah, you can build out your own custom checklist for each stage of the opportunity. So again, so that was, if I do inspections, negotiate inspection requests, schedule the fire marshal, submit docs to compliance. So you can see, in each area, I'm doing some different things, right? Remind the seller, prepare for the appraisal, review the commission statement, order water reading, oil tank, blah, 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 blah. So again, depends on how you do it, but this is how you would create a checklist. So there's two more things I want to talk about here in the checklist. One, I already explained that if you assign a date to it, it's going to show up in your tasks or to-do list on your dashboard. The other thing, I don't know that it's fully working just yet, but I know the intention is you can send an email to your client saying this particular thing has just been completed. So as you're going and checking things off, you have the option to send them an email saying, hey, I just sent the purchase and sales agreement to the closing attorney, or whatever it is that you want to share with them during the process, which I think is pretty cool. All right, everybody with me?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Cool. So let's do this for real. What I'll do now is I'm going to show you how to take a contact that's a lead, make them a contact, and then take that contact and create an opportunity, okay? So I'll go to my contacts. Hey, Mindy, are there questions?
Yes, I was just answering Melissa, and I'll let you. She was asking about what probability means. I was just going to type her an answer as you
Okay.
move. All right, so I'll finish typing, and then we can talk after.
Okay.
I'll let you get on.
So who else is bummed about Cinco de Mayo? I'm having a hard time with this.
Yeah, margarita and a few tortilla chips and salsa sound really good.
Well, it's actually Taco Tuesday, and there's no tacos on Tuesday.
We're having,
Oh.
we're having tacos for dinner.
Yay!
Good for you.
Since we're waiting, we could, if you want to, Melissa's question was about the there you go. I answered her, so we're good to move on.
All right, cool. All right, so I got this Samantha seller, right? So I'm gonna go open up Samantha. So right now, see this little L? That means she's a lead, right? So we really haven't gotten too far other than she's given me some information we haven't really talked. So let's pretend we've had a conversation at this point, and I'm gonna move her from a lead to a contact. All right, so I'm gonna unmark her as a lead. So now we've had a conversation and she's ready to list and we need to set an appointment. So she's no longer a lead, she's now a contact. So what I can do now is I go to my opportunities area. So if you've been in my other classes about contacts, real quick, the left-hand side is really all of the demographics about this person. You know, their name, phone number, email address, where they live, what their significant other's name is, all of that good stuff all happens on this side. And on the right is all the activities that happen with that particular contact. So I'm going to go over to opportunities, and I'm going to say, I'm going to create a new opportunity for this contact, right? So by default, it's going to go and grab a bunch of information because it already knows where you are. And if you're on a team, it's already going to be here. This is a listing opportunity. If you want to change it to something else, you can, but I already marked her as a seller, so I know this is a listing. What her name is, if there's another, like I said, another seller involved, if their information is in the contact, it's going to get pulled into here. Then I'm going to give it an opportunity name. Totally up to you what you want to call it. By default, it just gives the person's name and then listing. If there's any custom tags you want to add, you could do that here. Estimated closing date. So I haven't even had an appointment yet, so I don't need to fill this out. But what this does is, if you do fill it out, it's going to give you an idea on your pipeline where you think this is going to close. So let's say, you know, in my mind, I'm like, hey, you know what? She's going to list with me this week. I'm just going to give this thing, you know, I'm going to put it out to June 30th to close, right? And then I kind of have an idea of what her house is worth because I've done a preliminary CMA. So I'm just going to fill it out. And I know my average commission is, you know, 3% on a listing. And then where do I want this person to go, right? They're not a cultivate anymore. I'm going to move right to appointment because I know I've already got one set with her. And then I'm going to say it's earned. I'm just going to pretend here, right? So this is going to put her in my pipeline in the opportunity phase. I'm sorry, in the appointment phase with an appointment earned stage, right? So now I hit create opportunity. Okay, so now I've got my opportunity created, right? So what I want to do is come over to that particular opportunity just by going here, if I want to do anything further. So now this is going to bring me right to the swim lane and the stage. Okay. So now it's going to bring me to additional details about this particular opportunity. So anything I want to edit or change in here right now, I have the opportunity to do that. Right, so see, grab the listing price, the commission, I'm sorry, the commission rate, and now it's calculated what my potential commission will be, right, once this is closed. So if I go to my pipeline, now it's going to show that I've got Samantha now. You remember where I put her, right? I put her in the appointment phase and the appointment earned stage. I don't have a checklist for this area because either I earned it or not. And then once I earned it, I'm going to move them over to the active area. And that's when I'll have my checklist of what I need for my pre-listing. Okay? Good?
Mm.
Okay.
Okay,
So the
wait a
next
minute.
step,
Okay, Sean, can you wait? Because I'm like, you put them in, you move them from a lead to a contact. Then you added all that information that says she's a seller and it's a listing.
yep,
And then you went to opportunity.
correct.
Like in other words, then you clicked on seller listing and it brought you back to this? I'm a little
Yeah.
bit confused.
Yeah, so what I did was I took the contact and created an opportunity, and it brought me directly to the details for that particular opportunity. Right here. So if I wanted to add additional things in here at this point, I could. Right, so
Right,
this-
I get that. So
Yeah.
that order, when you created the contact and I don't remember what it was, on the boxes on the right, and you clicked on seller listing, it brings you to this.
Correct. Correct.
And
Yeah, so
you
if I
have
go
to
back,
move it, it'll automatically by default go to details, so you have to move it to where you want it to be.
yeah, it just brings you to details here in case, I don't know, maybe you missed something or you want to add additional information.
So those tabs on the top, details, seller profile, documents, this is all to change whatever you have in there. You have to go back to sales pipeline.
Yeah, so if I were going to continue this opportunity, right, this is what we're going to do tomorrow. We're going to pick up from here is I'm going to fill out the rest of this information, right, about this person.
Hmm.
And then I'm going to move to documents, right? So this is where DocuSign is going to come in. So this is where I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I'm ready to get all of their listing documentation ready. So now let me go to documents,
Okay.
right? And then I'm going to fire up DocuSign, and then I'm going to grab listing agreement, mandatory relationship disclosure, lead, sales, all those documents I need, and I'm going to prep them for a signature. So that's tomorrow's class. So any questions on what we did so far today? No, we're good?
I think
Okay.
so.
All right. So yeah, so what
Can I ask a
would
question?
recommend. Yeah, sure.
What's the seller profile tab line item there? Do we need to do anything with that?
No, it's for future. I don't know that it's really doing anything right now.
Okay.
Yeah, like if they were registered, if they downloaded your app, it would show here. And then if you wanted to send them a guide, you could do that too. So this doesn't really do anything just yet.
Hmm.
So details are, more details about the deal itself. Documents, we'll see our documentations. Once we get offers in, you'll put them into the offer area. And then you cannot see a commission until you have offers in here. So like for a listing, once you get your listing up and running, you may get into a multiple bid situation. You can enter all the offers in here, and it'll create a cool comparison sheet for your seller. So you can say, hey, this one's FHA at a higher price. This one's conventional, but a lower price. You can kind of walk them through all the pros and cons of different offers, and it creates a real cool comparison sheet for you. And then once you accept an offer, it's going to create your commission sheet.
What
And
about
then-
if it's a buyer? Do you actually put the offer they made on the house in there?
Yeah, exactly. Mhm.
Okay.
And then notes or anything you want to add particular to the deal. And then timeline, it's just a time-stamped record of all the activity for that particular opportunity. When you fill out the listing documentation, when you put it on a contract, anything that you do within this particular opportunity will show up in the timeline.
Okay.
Good? Joanne's laughing.
I just have, you know what? It seems like it's really pretty self-explanatory. Like, you just have to follow the steps. But then when you get in there and you start doing it, you're like, oh crap, where was I supposed to go next? You know,
Yeah.
it's the same old, you just have to do it a few times.
Exactly. I mean, once you create the opportunity, that's the hard part. Then you can just move them around in the different stages. And then once you get them where you need them to be pre-listing or pre-buyer agreement, that's when the documentation piece comes in.
Sean, Melissa has a question. Do you have to put offers in here? And what if you provide offers on a purchase and sales?
Do you have to put offers in here? Yes, you have to put offers in here. Otherwise, it's not going to be able to calculate your commission. And what was the second part of
Wait a
it?
minute. Offers and a sale are two different things.
You have to put it, you don't have to put all of the offers in here.
Yeah.
If you're, let's say you have a conversation, you got multiple offers, you only need to put the one you're going to accept in here.
Isn't this what you just said? If we put like a number of them, they can show the comparison for the seller?
It's totally up to you. If you want to keep doing it the way you're doing it today and just show them the offers or have a conversation and then say, hey, which one do you want to pick? Oh, you picked this one, great. Then you can take that offer and put it into here. You don't have to put all of them in. It's optional.
Oh,
It's just if you want an elegant way of producing a sales comparison sheet, you could do it through this tool. If you've got your own way of doing it, it's also elegant. You could do it that way too. But yes, you do have to put the offer in here in order to, whatever offer you're going to accept needs to be entered so it can create your commission.
all right. So if the commission is different, you can adjust that, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Anybody else?
Yeah, Melissa has another question. If we want to present it on a purchase and sales, how does that work to do that in here? Can I fill out a purchase and sales in offers section and send for signatures?
You would send the purchase and sales in the documents area. So that's where, just like with Dotloop. Is that how you do it with Dotloop right now?
Yes.
So yeah, so you would do the same thing in documents via DocuSign.
Okay. I just want to make sure that like what I'm hearing is correct. If what I'm hearing is correct, the offer section is not a section where you actually would put any documents. You'd have to go to the document section and do that separately.
Correct.
Okay. So it's two different things really, and you don't necessarily, but you do have to, it's mandatory to put something in this section in offers.
Correct. In order to calculate.
That's like that's like extra work in my opinion, no?
I mean, it's pretty.
I can't just skip over this section in
I'm
here.
I'm a little confused about this office thing, because I thought you said that you could put a number of offers in there and it would present some kind of spreadsheet so the seller could see FHA, cash, different terms, different
You
timelines or
have to
whatever.
enter it separately though, Joanne, I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
you
thinking
can.
that too now. It doesn't, yeah, you can't do that.
I mean, I get the purpose of it. I get the purpose of it, but I don't know that would take some time to get used to it, making it smooth transition.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Hmm.
But what do you do? Try to remember to create a green sheet. What do you need to do now? You need to take whatever your offer accepted is. You create a green sheet. It's two totally different things, right? And Dotloop versus green sheet. Yes.
Wait, say that again? Are you talking to me?
Yeah. So there's two steps now between creating a document in Dotloop, a signed purchase and sales agreement, and then you got to create a green sheet. Those are two separate things, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same idea.
Eventually, green sheets are going away and you're going to do everything through here, I think is maybe the point that's here, so you won't be doubling up.
Right. Exactly.
Once you put it in your offer, then it lets you go to commission tab, and that's your new green sheet.
Eventually, yes, that's the way it's going to work. Correct.
But it doesn't work that way yet.
Well, it does,
It
but
does. I filled one out.
Little at a time.
it does, but I don't know that the office is ready to cut over just yet. Right, Mindy?
Yes. And Brianna, you can pipe in at any point. We were rolling this out first and then moving on to that.
Yeah, we just didn't want to overwhelm with, learning this entire new system of DocuSign and of commands and opportunities and all that, and going into the new commissions tab versus doing a green sheet. So that will be coming. It's just to kind of streamline the process and make it easier on all of the agents to learn the different steps. We're just rolling out opportunities in DocuSign now, and then we will be incorporating some training on commissions and switching over at some point.
Okay. All right, Sean, I have another question. The tab that you have open right now, well, no, never mind about the tab. See where it goes up under command, sales pipeline / listing appointment, then it says seller listing, then it says Samantha Seller, select from listings. What
Mhm.
is that tab?
I don't know that this is working just yet. So this is my contact. So if I want to go back to this contact,
Yeah,
I don't think the listing, I don't think the listing thing is tied together just yet.
oh, all right.
But yeah, these are basically just shortcuts. So this will bring me back to her contact info. And this is supposed to be integrated with KWLS, but I don't know that it's working just yet.
I think that's showing my address. So once you go on the main details page and put the address in, that's where it shows up.
Okay.
I know, but what do you click on it for?
Joanne, I'm pretty sure that actually allows you to pull from MLS your listing, and then it pulls all the information in.
Oh yeah, there it is. It is working. Yeah, so it's going to go pull all of your active listings, and then you just grab the one you're talking about and pull it in. Yep. So it is working.
If you can't, is that in case you can't remember the seller's name?
In case you can't remember the details of which listing you're talking about. So yeah, I guess this is working. It'll pull your active listings in and just grab all the information. So from day to day, some of this stuff shows up and it's working. They add new stuff all the time.
Okay.
All right, cool.
All right, I think you did a great job today, Sean. You didn't speak too quickly, and I think the buffering helped us absorb it a little bit better.
Thank you, Joanne.
You're welcome.
All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow for part 2.
Okay,
you.
thanks,
Sean.
Sean.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mindy,
Yes,
you want to stay on?
sure. I don't know that I'm the one that can help you, and let's give it a
Yeah.
try.
But